In modern times, an increasingly large number of people are identifying as lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender. Particularly among young people, the prevalence of LGBT identity has skyrocketed. The political right will tell you that this is because of indoctrination and brainwashing. The reality is that this increase in LGBT identity is not caused by the presence of brainwashing. The reality is that this increase in LGBT identity is caused by the absence of brainwashing. In the past, people were raised to be straight. Generations of children were told that they would one day be in a relationship with a member of the opposite sex. Generations of children were told that they would one day marry a member of the opposite sex. Young boys were told that one day they would have a wife. Young girls were told that one day they would have a husband. I was told such things during my childhood, and that was not even very long ago. Such narratives constitute brainwashing, and this brainwashing has been dominant for generations. It is brainwashing to tell someone what their sexuality is. It is not brainwashing to tell someone that homosexuality exists and that it is acceptable to be homosexual. The political right will tell you the opposite. According to the political right, it is brainwashing to tell children that homosexuality exists and is acceptable. Yet it is simply education to tell children that they are heterosexual and will one day marry a member of the opposite sex. Teaching children the basic reality of diverse sexualities is not brainwashing. This is simple education. And this education is extremely important. Children must be equipped with the tools needed to understand themselves. To deprive children of the ability to understand themselves is a disgusting crime. Equipping children with the tools needed to understand themselves, this is what we must do. That means teaching them that some men are attracted to men and some women are attracted to women. To teach children that heterosexuality is universal is to deprive children of the ability to understand themselves. This is a terrible crime. Children who are not heterosexual will think that they are abnormal monsters. They will be consumed by self-hatred and insecurity. They will think that they are contrary to reality itself. Their classmates will despise them as they are contrary to their perception of reality itself. To deprive children of the ability to understand who they are is a terrible crime. Children should not be taught sexual details, and they do not need to be taught these things. You can teach children that some men are attracted to men and some women are attracted to women without mentioning anything sexual. So much of society's homophobia is based on the fact that children are taught that heterosexuality is an absolute norm. They are told that they are heterosexual. It is implied that everyone is heterosexual. And so homosexuality comes to be regarded as contrary to reality itself. This is the foundation of immense insecurity and self-hatred. The political right claims that gay people confuse children. Children are only confused by gay people because gay people are contrary to the lie of a universally heterosexual world. Conservatives teach their children that heterosexuality is universal, and then blame gay people when their children become confused. The children are only confused because gay people were excluded from the inaccurate worldview that their parents forced upon them. The homophobic conservatives create the confusion and then use it to double down on their homophobia. They justify more lies and by extension more confusion with the results of their previous lies and the resulting confusion. They omit information and in doing so imply the existence of an absolutely heterosexual world. And then they blame gay people for confusing their children, when the children are only confused because the political right indoctrinated them with a false narrative. It is madness that the political left is accused of grooming and indoctrination by people who tell their children that they are heterosexual. Teaching children that homosexuality exists and is acceptable is not indoctrination. This represents the end of heterosexual indoctrination. And yet the conservatives claim that LGBT identity is on the increase because sinister elites are indoctrinating children. They fail to explain who is pushing this indoctrination, why they are pushing it, and how they are orchestrating it. And of course they do, for this indoctrination is a big lie, and nothing more. LGBT identity is on the increase for very obvious reasons. Society has become far more tolerant and accepting. People are far more likely to be themselves in a society that does not persecute them for being themselves. People are far more likely to be themselves in a society that does not hate them for being themselves. People are far more likely to openly be themselves when society begins accepting them for who they are. Of course LGBT people became more open and obvious when society stopped hating them. Of course people are more willing to be themselves when they are no longer despised for being themselves. These explanations are very simple. These explanations are extremely simple. It should also be said that bisexual people account for a large portion of the increase in LGBT identity. In previous times, many bisexual people could have easily lived out their lives as straight people, obscuring the true prevalence of LGBT people. Many people probably could not even grasp their identity due to a lack of familiarity with the terms that describe it. Conceptual ignorance is a very dangerous thing. A lack of access to basic ideas and concepts can leave one confused for life. People will be who they are when society accepts who they are. Some conservatives claim that this explanation is bad because increased LGBT identity is overwhelmingly prevalent among younger people. Supposedly, this proves that there is indoctrination taking place. Yet this is perfectly consistent with the left-wing explanation. Younger people are the most progressive people. Young people are more likely to be accepting and tolerant. So naturally, open and obvious LGBT identity will be concentrated among the people who are most accepting of it. LGBT identity is on the increase, and that is a good thing. People should be free to be who they are. This represents liberty, as oppressive social standards are eased and cast aside. People are being liberated from the oppression and cruelty, self-hatred and insecurity that has caused massive suffering for far too long. This is a good thing, and we must defend it.